Hello, and welcome back to Cardboard Decoy Plays Kerbal Space Program. I hope that didn't mess up too much. We're going to find out, though. That'll be interesting. I'm kind of messing around with what I could do for Windows and everything, because I realized I can bring up the wiki page on the controls and then try to modify things from there. So here we are. We're in orbit around the moon. We are this thing, which is carrying the arms that we need to attach to our space station, hopefully. So is the plan. So we're going to try to pull that off as best as we can. So you can see right now where we are intersection-wise. So we've got a pretty similar orbit going on, but the real fact of the matter is that this is where we are while the space station is over here. So we have to figure out a way to fix that. So a minute and 30 seconds should be enough time to kind of fiddle with things. Let's see if we can... Whoa. Okay. This is where it gets kind of tricky, because it's like, indeed, basically. Let's see. Whoa, good gravy. Okay, yeah, it's definitely getting kind of touchy. Alright, let's go ahead and we're going to expand our orbit a little bit. We're not even going to need a maneuver for that. Let's go ahead and cancel that. So, what I want to do... Let's see, we were on normal last time in order to adjust our curvature, not curvature, but angle of our orbital plane there. Okay, how do I want to do this? I kind of want to... You know what? It'd be better if we did fire retrograde like this for a second. And basically my thinking is if we can get inside the moon, we'll be going a lot faster than the actual space station. So the goal is, at this point, to start zooming around really quickly so we can line our orbits with it fairly easily. So is the plan. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Let's go ahead and we're going to lower apoapsis, or well, our periapsis now. We're going to lower it down to about 20,000. You know what, we can go a little bit lower. Let's go 15,000, and that'll give us some wiggle room. So let's do that. Speed up. Here we go. It's been a while since I played, as per the usual, so don't mind me if I start making weird mistakes. But you can see we're coming around the bend here. If we actually manage to catch up fairly well, then we might go ahead and attempt to maneuver here pretty soon anyways. Let's see. We're not like on a crash course, collision crash course for actually running into anything on the moon, are we? I don't believe we are. Okay, now we are aiming prograde. Let's turn that around. Okay, we are not using RCS. And give it a second. Okay. This is going to get real interesting. So these meeting at points in space things are like misleadingly difficult, because you're like, oh yeah, you just fly over to where the marker is, and it's the sense of, this is where the sense of scale of like space and things in space starts to get really kind of flooring, because it's like, even, you know, if you point in any random direction in space, the actual odds you're going to hit like our actual moon are incredibly small. Like, it's not going to be a thing that happens to you while you're flying around in space. The actual odds of something like that happening are just absolutely phenomenal. Because, yeah, it's like, even though these are huge objects, like, the immensity of the empty space around them is so much greater as to be, you know, basically just sort of impossible to really hit anything. It's kind of like, I mean, I'm sure if you watch Cosmos, as I actually haven't finished yet. I need to finish watching all the Cosmos. They kind of touch on that. And, with like molecules and stuff too, like the actual amount of space there is in general, like not just like outer space, we're talking like space in between particulates and stuff like that, is just, it's absurd to really think about. Like you get like neutrinos are so tiny that like they pass through incredible amounts of solid matter and never ever once will meet up with anything. Like it's of the man, I'm like losing my train of thought here, because it's something I really want to talk about, because it kind of excites me in that extremely nerdy, science-y fashion. And but at the same time, like, my ability to articulate what it is I'm trying to say is failing, because I'm also trying to line up orbital paths with our space station here. Let's see, velocities 524. We're just slightly faster than that. We're not actually doing a whole lot of catching up here. It would probably be easier if I just moved the orbit out, actually. Considerations, possibilities here. Okay, here we go. I'm just trying to see, maybe, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and, how far in the future is that? That's 3.5 minutes. That should be enough time to tinker. So, what I'm trying to do, again, is just line up our orbit with the space station here so that we can meet up with it. And we're doing that by watching these arrows here and trying to get as close as possible. Without, of course, hitting it. That would be bad. Okay, and then if we do that, how is that going to affect anything? That's not too bad. There we go. That's what we want. That's going to put us through the moon, though, and we do not want that. Okay, we're going to try this the other way that I was talking about, where we expand the orbit pretty considerably so that we can hopefully match up where we're headed. Let's see, or at least our speeds, our relative location around the moon stuff. Alright, cool. We're already facing prograde. That's super convenient. And then we fire. And there we go. 100 kilometers should be more than enough to create enough of a spatial difference here for us to be able to catch up as we need to. So we're getting really close there. Now we're going to start pulling away considerably as we bleed off a ton of speed at apoapsis here. Yeah, the speed difference is much bigger. Plus we can warp faster too if we need to, so, which we will do here in a second. But no, like, just to hopefully tie up my thought there, but like, just the immensity of space and how absolutely small we actually are, and how that all comes together. And what we're trying to do now is that docking maneuvers and rendezvous points and things like that in space are just, they're completely flooring to me. I mean, you're already rocketing through, well, space, not the air, which what I was about to say. Okay, you can stop that. Here we go. I had to turn on RCS for a second there. Okay. So, like, just the idea of hurtling through the air at, you know, just incredible speeds and being very tiny things in a very large and massive void, all of that stuff adding up. I think it all comes together in the concept of, like, docking and actually trying to meet another object in space willfully. Just conceptually is mind-boggling to me. Okay, here we go. You can see it's already catching up, and of course we can warp a ton faster. So what we want to do is, okay, this is where it gets kind of, how do I know I'm not screwing this uppy? Okay, let's see, that's 1 minute and 20 seconds. Let's add a maneuver, and we are going to do like this first, which will meet us up, hey, pretty dang close actually. Alright, let's see if we can adjust and adjust and adjust some more. Okay. Whoa. This is probably not the right way to do it. Don't try this at home, kids. Well, do try it at home because it's Kerbal Space Program, so who cares? Intersect, separation, 1.4 kilometers is not bad. Let's see if we can get even closer. Okay. Ooh. Oh. Separation 1 kilometer. Separation 1.5 kilometers. Okay, we're wandering off. No. Alright, there we go. What are you? 0.9 kilometers. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Alright, and then... Oh, 1.8 kilometers. Separating again. I don't know how to get closer to this. There's probably a way that I just don't know about. Alright, so we're just going to keep adjusting the camera until it makes somewhat more sense. 0.1 kilometers. Okay, that's about as close as we're ever going to get. Let's do this. Alright, so we're going to align towards our target point here. And this is where things are going to get super, super interesting. Okay. Our space station is right there. So all we're trying to do is just align to it. And then we'll take care of all the really, really tricky shit once we get a little bit closer. And that's probably going to be what ends up burning through most of our monopropellant aside from actual docking. So, good times in other words. Okay. Let's just do that. Yeah, that's totally cool. Alright, let's speed up a little bit. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and do a very easy burn. We don't want to go too crazy here. Okay. There goes our main engine fuel, which is fine. Okay. Alright, so that green means we're probably fine, but I just want to, just for completionist sake here. There we go, 0.1, I like it. That's within tolerances. Alright, so we're relatively close to what we want to be doing here. So what we're going to do is make sure that, yes, target, orbit, surface, target. Okay, so this is our relative speed to our target here, which means we are approaching it at this speed, I believe? This is where, like, the nav ball kind of confuses me at this point, because it's like, okay, now we have to watch a whole lot of different data. This is our current, even though this is our target, yeah, that's our target, and then if we switch it, that's our orbit around the moon, and then this is our surface height, which is, you know, completely irrelevant. Or no, that's our surface speed, so that's our speed relative to the surface. This is our speed relative to the target, which is slowing down, and that's the only part I'm kind of like, is that right? I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So, but now what we want to do is just kind of speed things along and see how close we get. I think what it's referring to is the fact that we're gonna hit a point, kind of the ascension and declination, or ascension and what's the other one whenever you have a target? Hold on. Ascending node. Oh, ascending node and descending node have to do with whenever we're going to be like closest to one another. So let's see. What is our separation? 1.1 kilometers. Okay, so we're still on point for what we want to have. Okay. But this is going to be the whole episode, is trying to negotiate this. So here's what we want to do. We want to very quickly turn. Okay. And what we're going to try to do is match speeds as fast as we can here. We're about to hit the point. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. So here we go. Oh, okay, you see how the speed started speeding up there? Okay. Whoa, easy. What are we turning for here? Okay, I've got to figure out which way I'm oriented, which is the hard part as far as I'm concerned. Okay, our relative speed is actually pretty stable at the moment. Let's go ahead and we're going to turn so that we are like this, and this ought to make orienting ourselves a little bit easier. Here we go. Okay. And what we want to do is hopefully this. Whoa, Nelly. Okay. Now I don't even know. Okay. Alright, we're just gonna remain confused for a second. Don't mind me. Okay. I've got to figure out how I want to turn this orientation so that I know what side is up, basically. Alright. Oh, man. Okay. Okay. And then if we go down a little bit, we're just going to point directly at it. And then try to pick up a little bit of speed and then turn around as quickly as possible. Alright, if we do it like this. And then what we're waiting on is the speed to start flipping around. Okay, because yeah, now we're just matching speeds, and what we need to do is start gaining on it. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. This is a true nightmare. Alright. Okay, now that we're gaining speed, that means we're actually on approach. And we're just gonna waste a ton of fuel trying to do this, I realize. Okay. But at least now, since we have docking ports on everything, it's gonna be a little bit easier to rescue our crew as is needed. Alright. Okay. Let's keep it at about that. What does our current orbit look like? Our current orbit is all kinds of trash, but let's not worry about that too much, shall we? Okay, I'm trying to, again, orient towards the space station. Alright. Of course, if I could figure out exactly how I was oriented to this. This is about what I assumed was going to be the problem. So, while docking was wildly successful for my first attempt there, I knew I was going to be running into problems trying to do this. Because the rendezvous, for me, is the really, really hard part. So, okay, now we want to... Okay, this is... Oh my goodness, this is so ridiculously disorienting. Alright. I should probably be trying to just match speeds with it and adjust from there. Okay. Well, this is working like gangbusters, basically. Okay, here's what I need to do. This is getting out of hand. Oh my goodness. When's the last time I auto-saved? I did not. Okay, well... Let's continue. Let's see. I'm thinking. This is a bad episode. You can tell already. Alright. Okay. Yeah. What I might end up doing at this point is just relaunching and trying this again in the next episode, but you can kind of see how easy it is to just completely mess this up if you're not careful. Oh, there it is, going relatively overhead. Oh boy. Oh man, oh man. Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is silly ridiculous is what it is. Alright, so yeah. Let me see. It's gone. Goodbye. Let's try this again. We're gonna resume flight, apparently. No target. It's not gonna let me revert. Oh, good. Let's see. Last quick save. Okay, super convenient. Okay, well, yeah, that I should have restarted that a lot earlier and tried to time up my my maneuver nodes. So we're gonna do this a little bit more meticulously, and let me go ahead and just make my adjustments that I had before, which basically is pointing towards prograde and aligning myself thusly. So let's do that, and then try to line things up a little bit better so that it actually makes more sense. I mean, the problem was I was just coming in too fast, and there was no way I was going to recover that. I know that much. I know pretty much what my problem was there, and what I was going for, and why it wasn't working. It was definitely maybe a little too ambitious for me to assume I could ever catch the dang thing once I screwed up the orbits like that. It's definitely not easy, even whenever you do get in really close to kind of like match speeds. That's by far the hardest part, in my opinion, where it's just, okay, you match the speeds, and you gotta make these tiny adjustments, and you've got to turn this huge-ass ship around, which gets a little bit easier once you can do it all with RCS, for sure, but, you know, it's still rocket science, after all. Let's see. There's a reason why people get paid a whole lot of money to do this stuff. Actually, I don't know what astronauts are actually paid. That could be like a point of contention for them. Okay. So, I'm wondering... It's like, what's the mental state I need to channel here? How do I need to think about my approach and how I'm actually going to get around to the space station? Because you can see right now, like, if I thought this is where they're going to be on opposite sides of the planet, so basically I want to get like directly behind it and then try to match my orbit around so that, you know, we match up orbits on the same area. kind of get an idea of what I'm saying there, hopefully. But yeah, we'll definitely poke around and try to do that again. This has been a trial and error episode for sure, without a doubt. I believe no one will disagree with that observation whatsoever. So, yeah, this has been Cardboard Decoy trying to rendezvous with the space station fairly miserably. Next time, hopefully, we'll be a little bit more successful. And then, after that, yeah, we'll see. I don't know how many episodes I'm going to record today. It is recording day, and Bayonetta just came out for Wii U, and I'm trying to resist going into just a Bayonetta-induced coma of, you know, plagasming. Not that that should be a word you would want to associate with that particular game. Without, you know, possibly incriminating yourself, but whatever, you're pervs. And let's see. We're going to widen that out to 100. So yeah, this is Cardboard Decoy playing Kerbal Space Program and hopefully being a little bit more successful next time around. Hang in there, Jeb. We'll get there one day. But yeah, in the meantime, we are going to try to assemble this space station as best as we can. And if we can manage to get some research maneuvers and everything else, because after these arms are going to be super helpful, but really we need to start attaching fuel and some ships that will be going back and forth to the moon, collecting research, and then processing said research indefinitely so that we can get all of the research we can from the moon to be able to explore other places, or so is the plan. So yeah, until then, have fun.